All right. Well, we are here doing a very special show, a show I've been wanting to do for a while now, because I do have another book still in the works. It is called COVID-19, The Invisible Enemy, The Early Days of COVID-19. I don't have an official title for it yet. I don't even have a book cover or anything, but I did have my friend Catherine who is going to write the forward to it, and she actually edited this book for me too, and taught me a lot during the editing process, mostly about what I've been doing wrong. But that's okay. I got no problem with that because that's how you learn. If you think you got it all figured out and you think you know it, well, you know what usually happens then. Learn the hard way. So, thank you, my friend. Nice to have you here, Catherine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. I like this topic. I think, more people should talk about it. Not in the sense that it was talked about before, but yeah.
I think it's safe to talk about it on YouTube now too. You can actually mention it and everything. I heard that YouTube is in the process, or Congress, or something like this. I don't know if it's true or not. They're in the process of giving a lot of people back their channels. A lot of people who had their channels banned. So I may actually get a chance to get my original channel back, which would be awesome
Oh,
because
yeah.
there's a lot of video. There's some David Crowley videos and stuff like that, and some other videos that are only on that channel,
Yeah.
and I did not back it up. So when I lost it, I lost a lot of stuff, a lot
Mm.
of stuff. So, but you never know. You never know what'll happen. This may get banned, and then we start all over again. So,
Just keep talking. I don't care. They can, whatever.
yeah, I'm not. I'm not too worried about it. So, yeah, like you said, whatever happens, happens. But I did want to just kind of go back over COVID, maybe talk about your experiences, what you thought about COVID then, what you think about it now. Have we learned anything? Is it going to come back? Just any general thoughts that you have on COVID-19.
Well, it's like from the beginning. Again, it's because of my background. If I didn't have the medical background I do, I probably would have jumped on the bandwagon of it being just a big fake thing, right? I would have been right in there with everybody going, "Oh, this is just a joke," and they're all faking. But it's like I knew it wasn't a joke. I didn't, clearly didn't know how serious it either was or was not. But what I don't think a lot of people understand that when a virus first comes out, it can either be, nothing to it, or it's going to be pretty viral, right? It's going to be pretty potent. Now, here's the thing that I don't think a lot of people understood. Everybody on all sides of the spectrum were saying it's coming, from a level 4 biohazard, blah, 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 right? And so I'm like going, you guys do understand what type of a facility that is, right? I mean, where you're full gear, you don't breathe oxygen. I mean, you have full containment. And so if it's coming from that type of a lab, it's pretty serious, right? And I'm like going, this isn't a joke. But again, I just kind of wanted to wait and see what happened. I didn't want to make too big of a jump too quickly. So for me, it made lots of sense that since it became, pretty widespread in China first. In my research, I found cases that were back in like August, but it didn't really hit China till what, December or whatever,
That's
somewhere
what they
later in the
say.
year. Yeah,
Yeah,
several months later
yeah.
when it really started to take off. And so I'm just like going, well, it hit them really hard. And so again, that makes sense. It's going to be super powerful, that type of a virus at the beginning, but either when it mutates, it's going to mutate deadly, or it will mutate less harmful. And you don't know, right? You're just waiting, going, okay, what's it going to do? Because, where's the human race a guinea pig? I don't know, right? That was my thought. I have no idea. But you don't know until it actually, invades a host, and then you see what happens once it's in the host, and then it starts to mutate, and then it starts to spread in a different way. So I just kind of I was waiting, and I knew it was real because, from the very beginning, I think it was what we started seeing a lot of cases here. What was it like in early whatever?
February, yeah, about yeah, very
Yeah,
early, first couple
yeah.
months of
Yeah, and I had a stepsister who she traveled a lot for her business, for her job. She was constantly traveling. And then all of a sudden she got really super sick,
hmm,
super sick. And I'm just like, and turned out that it was, COVID. And so that's when I started hearing people going, it's a joke, it's a hoax, it's not real. And I'm like, it's pretty real, you know. And
Corona
everybody,
beer. Yeah.
yeah, and everybody I know who had it across the board, either they didn't have symptoms, and this was later, but in the early onset of this infection, everybody was like, this was not the flu. This was not a cold. This was horrible. So it had to have been different. That was my thought process.
Yeah. Yep. It was an interesting time there because yeah, I didn't really take it seriously. And I remember the first meme or whatever that I saw was this dude with a Corona beer and he's lying on the ground and they're like, this is how it all started or something like that. So that image will be in my mind forever because I had no idea what Corona was. I knew the beer. I used to drink the beer when I was a kid, but that was it. I had no idea what this was. I didn't know I think I talked to you about this one time. I was like, COVID-19, is this like the 19th COVID or something? But you're like, no, it's because of the year of 2019 is
Mhm.
when it was found. And then as I started to learn more about what a coronavirus is, SARS, and like this is something that's kind of been out there for a long time. And then I watched a not a movie, but like a a video series called Event 201. Event 201, I think is what it was called. And it was like a pre-program. It was like a government planning for exactly what happened. The only difference was that they were expecting millions of people to die, and thankfully, that did not happen.
Right.
But so they had been gaming for this. So that was another thing where it's like, oh, this is all planned. But you have to plan for these types of things. They plan for a lot of things that have not happened too. So just because now the timing is weird because they did come out with it a couple months before COVID hit and everything, but they had been planning for something like this for a long time, whether it was purpose, whether they wanted it to get out or whether they were just saying, and I think it's on all different sides. I think there's people who generally are just crazy and probably did want something like this to happen because they want to kill a lot of people. Like the Georgia Guidestones, you can clearly see that, and they want to keep it down to what 500 million or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, and this would have been a great way. It was a great time because they had a president in office who they did not like. If they could not get rid of him, they could not break him. The only thing that they could do is to do something like COVID. And then the other side is kind of like, well, this was a lab leak. This thing leaked out. They have been warning Fauci, gain of function research, not to do this, what the consequences were, what would happen if something like this got out. So there was that side of it too, and Fauci trying to distance himself from it. And hopefully he will be able to pay the price the legal way and actually there will be consequence. I think God will have a lot more consequences than anything we could do here on this earth, but there does need to be some type of consequences for him for what happened. And even if you sanction him, even if you do all of this stuff, I don't see why they could not go ahead with a full trial, even though he's got the pardon and all that stuff. Get it on record that this dude is guilty. Get it on record of all the things that happened. We can't just say, well, he's got the pardon, so let's not even bother with it. I don't think that's
And
right.
the fact that they did the preemptive pardon tells you right there he's guilty.
Yeah,
Because why would you need to pardon an innocent person? It's like that's
exactly.
stupid. Yeah. So.
They did the same thing for Liz Cheney because of the January 6th stuff.
Mhm.
So they knew exactly what was coming. And then it's like, what was it even Biden who signed it, or was it this whole auto pin thing? So that's gonna play another role in it too. But there, even if there aren't any consequences on this world, there will be consequences. Definitely things like this happen because something happened, something got out. Whether it was manufactured, whether it was meant to be like this, or whether it was just an accident, I don't know. I really don't know. I tend to think that they actually kind of wanted, but if they did want something like this out there, it probably would have been a lot worse. So I kind of do lean towards more of the lab leak, knowing that what happened, and then the whole cover up to try to wipe their hands of it. I don't know. I can't say for sure, and this book doesn't really go there. But I did want to go over those early days, how the ventilators may have actually done more damage than they did of actually helping people. There was a book that I read, can't remember the name of it right now, but and that's exactly what they were saying. You put them on the ventilators, and it was actually making it worse. Some people, they had no choice; they had to be on it. But in most cases, it was like it did not help. It just prolonged whatever happened. They started giving them different drugs, and they found out what actually worked, what would cure COVID, basically, or at least what would fight against it. And as soon as President Trump came out and said we need to try these things, this whole right to try thing, he gets a lot of crap for the warp speed, and all that too. But he was also out there saying that we need to look at all alternatives. I mean, we need to look at different drugs. I think it was, what was it?
Hydroxychloroquine,
Yes, yes,
ivermectin.
yeah. That was the big one. And then when Joe Rogan came out and talked about that, they accused him of taking horse
Yeah, that's the
medicine.
ivermectin. Yeah. And it's so insane because ivermectin has been around for so long and it won a Nobel Prize for
Mm,
its ability to cure. And it works really well with that type of a virus across the spectrum. But if you cure something too quickly and you have an agenda, you don't want it out there, right? And
right.
I knew that they were causing so many people to be, because at the beginning, hydroxychloroquine was showing really good promise.
Hmm.
And then the first thing they started doing was the fear tactics with that. Oh, it's this and it's going to kill you. It's going to blah, blah, blah. I was on hydroxychloroquine for years. Had to, because, I was living I'm at altitude, right? But then I was living higher up.
Hmm.
And then I ended up I get high altitude sickness, especially now, really easy. So I can't even really go past, 7,000 feet without getting sick.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, I mean, since I was living at 6,500 feet, they kept me on, for a long time. And I'm like, why are they dogging this medication? It was such a good medicine. And I would try to tell people hydroxychloroquine is safe. It's a good medication. And you couldn't convince anybody. Like, no, 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 they're saying it's this. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been on this for years. It's fine. But yeah, it's that fear. People, you find what scares people, and
Hmm.
then they just, zeroed in on that and just started going crazy.
Yeah, those are some of the reasons that does make me think that this was planned,
Hmm.
because it was like, okay, they had the cure, which is what you want in case you actually get it. If you put it out there and you accidentally get it, or someone that you love accidentally gets it, oh yeah, we got the cure. It's not for everybody, but we can cure you. But yeah, so all of the way that the media reacted to, and part of the reason why my YouTube channel, my first YouTube channel, got banned was because I got strikes about COVID videos, and all I did was post with this doctor from Bakersfield, who was a big part of this book here. And you can't find it now. I think it's still on Rumble and everywhere else, but not on YouTube. And I don't even know if I wouldn't even tempt it on this channel to try to re-upload that video. But it was very powerful. It changed my view about COVID, when he was saying you need to be outdoors. You need to
Hmm.
be in the sunlight. You need to put your hands in the
The dirt.
soil.
Yep.
You need to be around people. We're doing all of this wrong. And he was like banned. He was just way out there. But it really, and there was a lot of other people, I'm sure, that also did that too. But this one doctor really stood out to me. They did a whole press thing, and it was like it was probably like an hour long, and it definitely took off. And then all of a sudden, the censorship came in, and it was just boom, done. And then you had other doctors and everything trying to talk about it. But YouTube is, so it's still big. but it was so big then, that it was just like they got the order to basically shut that down. And
And then they find out today that he was 100% correct, because why would all these doctors telling people to go outside? Because when you're in the sun, your body starts to make vitamin D. And then they, after all these years of research, they're finding out that the majority, now maybe not all, but the majority of people who got really sick and ended up passing because of this were low in vitamin D.
mm,
Those
mm,
who got their vitamin D levels up, they either got, a little bit sick, or they were fine. And so it's like, why would they stop people? Our body naturally makes it, but you have to be out in the sun. We need that sun. The sun is so healing on so many different levels, but it's like they're trying to keep humans from being in the one source that pretty much helps us heal.
right.
Not all the way. I'm not one of those crazy people, right? But I mean, it's a good source of healing for our bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, it was. And that year, I remember that year in 2019 was one of the only year, because every year I get sick. I can almost time it. And where we live at now, it's not as bad. But in California, I remember every year I could time it, and it would be right around between October and November and December, about 3 months, and I'd be fighting something back and forth. 2019 was the only year I did not get sick, and it stood out to me very much because everybody was then getting sick, and then in 2020, when everybody started getting sick, I didn't get sick that year either, and I was like, what is going on here? Like, okay, it's good for me because I'm not getting sick, but I don't know. I just always found that very strange, and felt like God was he needed to protect me a little bit more because if I would have gotten sick, then it could have been really, really bad. As far as I know, I've never had COVID. I don't even know. How do you tell the difference between COVID and a bad cold? Because I've had bad colds for a long time. So if we're just gonna say that, I've had symptoms probably since I was like 5 or 6 of COVID-19.
Yeah, I mean, everybody I know, who personally who have actually had COVID, and then of course those that I know of in hospitals, because
Mhm.
again I still have contacts within medical facilities. Um, the only thing they say, it's not it's worse than anything you can think of. It's
Mm.
like the flu 1,000 times over, a cold 1,000,000 times over. They're just like it.
You
Once you
know,
have there's no doubt, because and it's like when people get the flu and you get those aches and you're coughing and you're having a hard time breathing, like, oh my God, is this COVID? They're like, no, trust me,
you'll know. Okay, that's good to know. I
Yeah.
did take a test one year. We had put it off. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not
Mhm.
doing anything like that because I just felt like whatever I had was just a regular cold. So it's like this is nothing different than I get every year. One year we did do a COVID test, and I didn't have it or anything. But then some of the stuff I put in the book, especially in those early days, were a lot of false positives that they were getting to, and they were finding that in these tests, in these COVID tests, those early COVID tests look nasty, where they shove a
Mhm.
not a toothpick, a Q-tip up your nose, and man, that looked painful. Like
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. I've had
it looked
several of those
painful.
because I was
Yeah.
hospitalized a couple times during COVID.
Okay.
It's not painful, and it's like, come on,
It
people,
looked
really.
brutal.
Well, the worst part is because the ones that I had, it
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily a cotton. It was almost like a little scrub brush type thing. It was really
Mhm.
weird. Yeah, and they jam it up there, and you're just like, oh God, whatever. But
Ugh.
yeah,
Yeah. Once I saw it, and I just saw like a draw, or not I just saw like a thing of it. This is how you do it. You just stick it up
yeah.
here. I
I
ain't doing
guess
that.
some of them did have Q-tips. You're right. You're right.
Some of those early
I
ones. Yeah. But oh man, it's like no way. And there were people lining up to go get it. And it was so crazy also to see all of the rioters in the summer of 2020 no problem there. We're all supposed to be locked down. We're all supposed to be inside. All the good people were. Churches were closed. Couldn't go to church. The liquor stores were still open. Gavin Newsom's wine bar was still open.
Yeah.
Rioting was still happening. That was all fine. It was a crazy, crazy time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. It's really hilarious because, yeah, and you can't go to church where you're sitting there quietly and, there's one, oh, no, 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 you can't do that. But when you're at a riot and people are screaming and they're and when you're screaming, spit's coming out and everything, and that's all okay.
That's okay. No problem there. Yeah. Yeah, that was wild there. It was a crazy time. And then of course that led into the voter fraud of 2020 because of the mail-in boxes, and we didn't know who was voting. And you could still go back and look at the record number. Joe Biden, 81 million votes. 81 million votes, and then he drops out 4 years later. You
Well,
have
see,
if you add the total number of votes from Joe Biden and Trump in 2020 and compare it to the total number of votes for Kamala Harris and Trump in 2024, the numbers don't add up. There's at least 3 million, which happens to be a similar number of how many of illegals were in the country right around then who probably could have voted. I'm just saying, maybe something there, maybe a tie there. I don't know.
and it just cracks me up because when I first started voting, everybody, you always had to bring your ID. You had
Mm-hmm.
to prove where you lived. You had to prove that you were you. So you either brought your driver's license or your ID, and it was just standard procedure. You walk in, here's my ID. They give you your ballot, you vote, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't even remember what it was. Then one time, it might have been the early 2000s or something, and I went to go vote, and I go to hand them my ID, and they're like, "You don't need that. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Excuse me, but this is how it's always been done."
Right.
And they looked at me like I was crazy. So it must have been a newer person. I can't remember. And I'm like, okay, you're old, but they were old enough that they should have known because you always had to have your ID. And now they're trying to make it this big thing about you shouldn't have to. Yeah, you should have your darn ID. You should be able to prove which precinct you're in and that you're allowed to vote. And
Yeah, it's so bad now that Congress, the Republicans, are trying to pass a law for it to demand voter ID, and they're being called racist for it. Why would you be a racist?
yeah. And I'm like going, but that's how we always did things. And I was shocked that you didn't even need to anymore. And I'm like going, so I could go anywhere. I could vote here and I could go over there and give them a different name or whatever and just say, oops, they must not have me on your paper, you
Mm-hmm. Just
know?
sign you up right there.
Yeah.
Sign you up right there. Boom, done. Yeah, it was wild, all because of this COVID that just really rocked the whole world and changed everything. I think it was a pivotal time. Changed, friendships, families. Lots of bad things happened during that time. For me, a very good thing happened during that time because of COVID in the summer of 2020, because housing prices were so low in other states, the state that I'm in now. We were able to move out in the summer of 2020. My job, they didn't fire me. They moved us all to part time. Most of us moved to part time. And I was already kind of fed up. I was already kind of had one foot out the door. Didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel, staying in California with a very young child. And, we just didn't see any way that we would ever become a homeowner if we were to just keep going on about this same way. And I really did not want my children to be forced into the public school system to take shots and all that stuff, because Kaiser was very forceful about that. We fought it, never did it, but they were very, very forceful about that. And so in the summer 2020, we had an opportunity to actually purchase a home for a really good price. And the monthly payments would be less than the rent that we were paying in
Mhm.
California, even though I was moved to part time. Um, and the crazy part is that, yeah, I was moved to part time, but the actual unemployment, what they were giving us at that time for that first six months, when I took the part time and the unemployment, I was actually making more than I was previously. And so, these there are miracles that happen, and it's tough because I know a lot of people died during that time. A lot of people suffered. A lot of people went through some very bad things. Children being forced to live in this house with people that were physically and mentally and sexually abusing them. A lot of bad things happened. So it makes me feel guilty. It's something really good happened during COVID in my life. And without COVID, that would have never happened. And I probably would not be here right now. I don't know. It's all
No,
God's.
no, no, no. You can't negate your happiness because other people were suffering. That's not okay. You were given a blessing, and that had nothing to do with the evil doings of so many, hundreds of thousands of other people. No, you were blessed. It was a good thing, and you need to, just enjoy them. And I know you're grateful, but one does not equal the other here.
Yeah. Yeah, I try not to feel good, but I need to work on that, I think, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, so those were some of the things that happened during those early days, and I was trying to document all of this as it was happening because I knew if I was going to write anything, if I didn't write it now, I probably wouldn't do it. It'd be hard to go back because they were censoring everything
Right.
too. So I felt like I really had to, and was trying to see all of these different deaths and trying to calculate, okay, how many people are dying in this country, how many people are dying in our country here too. And it got to a point finally about 6 months of doing this, and I was like, we don't really know if these deaths were just from COVID either, because they're just lumping all of these things in, looking at people who had all of these other preconditions. If you include those, maybe they died from something else because they couldn't get into Kaiser, get into a medical facility. They couldn't get their medications because the hospitals were not doing anything else. They didn't want to take any patients. So, I mean, there's a lot of different factors, but the fact that a lot of people who did die from COVID, suffer from COVID, a lot of them, it seems like, had other things going on. They were not healthy people. Let's put it
Well,
like that.
and that was where some of the rules, the law, whatever, it's like if somebody died and they had tested positive, the death was not, say, a heart attack or a car
Mm,
accident. If you had COVID, you died from COVID.
right.
So there are a lot of, like you just said, there's a lot of deaths that were attributed to COVID that had nothing to do with COVID. They may have died with COVID, but they died due to something else.
Yeah.
And that wasn't right. I mean, it just pumped up these numbers, but then that pumped up the fear, which then, allowed the control, and people started doing stupid garbage like following a line in a store. I never did that. And I was constantly being followed and yelled at in the
Good for
grocery store.
you.
And I'm like, no, I'm not walking this way to get here when it's 5 feet down. I'm walking this way. I did. I got in so much trouble during that time.
Like standing in a line at a theme park,
I mean, I'll admit this. I was really happy with the 6 foot distancing because I don't like people close to me.
Mm,
I don't. It's like when people get close to me, I get super, super uncomfortable. And so, and up until that point, they didn't understand personal space. Be in line in like Walmart or whatever, and literally like right behind me where you can feel their breath on the back, and I would have to turn around and go, back off, step away from me. They just didn't understand that they were invading somebody else's personal space. But then once that's, the 6 foot thing came in, I'm like, oh God, I can finally breathe.
you can stretch,
Yeah,
stretch your arms out of it.
because they would have little circles on the floor that you just stand in these circles. And I'm just like, thank God, now I don't have to worry about people standing on top. It's really that if anything's going to make me snap and jump down somebody's throat, it will be that. Stay the back off. Don't come near me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was thankful for that.
Well, this is what they say happened here. I don't know if you've seen this. I actually thought that this was fake. And I was like, what? They're doing a lab leak? Trump's talking about this? But it's from the White House. from their website. So I was like, wow, okay, this is interesting. And it goes through what they believe, happened. Um, this is not found in nature. It's not a natural thing.
Correct.
The data shows all COVID-19 cases stem from a single introduction into humans. This runs contrary to previous pandemics where there were multiple spillovers. And the Wuhan is home to China's foremost SARS research lab. And this is where they really think that it came from. This was one of the main theories. I remember hearing three theories. It came from a U.S. military base. It came from China, from the seafood market, from bat soup,
Yeah, no.
or it came from a leak way down over here in Wuhan, the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And so it was like something happened here, somebody got it here, it leaked out, made it to the seafood market, and boom, from there it just took off. But I thought this was a really good breakdown coming from the White House too. So I really enjoyed reading this. And of course, there's Anthony Fauci getting his pardon with the auto pen. And so if people haven't seen this, it's definitely worth looking into. Senator Rand Paul has been a big champion for this. He was speaking out against a lot of the stuff when in those early days of COVID, and then he got COVID, and so they were giving him crap because oh, you're saying all this stuff and you still got it. Then after he gets COVID, they want him to get the COVID shot, and he's like, well, wait a minute, I got COVID, so I'm my body is already knows what to do with it.
Yep.
You won't need the COVID shot then. And that was another big problem. A lot of these people who got it kept getting the shot and then kept getting COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I know people who got it 3-4 times, and they all got the shot. I never got the shot, never got it. So
Nope.
I don't
No,
know.
it'll be over my dead body. It's no way. No way. Mm-mm. And
Yeah.
so, and I kind of see it. I don't know. I guess my theory is a little bit different, I think, than most people's.
Mhm.
Just because with those type of viruses, okay, when I was taking microbiology in college, right, we had to part of our class in order it was like 70-80% of our grade. The first day of our lab, we were handed just uh, um, some type of virus or bacteria. We were not given what it was. So by the end of the class, you had to figure out what yours was and then write an entire paper about it, and by doing all these experiments. Now, because we didn't know who had what, now there was some pretty, nasty stuff that we were given, but not something that was going to kill anybody, right? But if you didn't handle it right, you could have been super sick.
Mm.
So we had to learn from day one how to handle everything correctly, who had to wear the masks or whatever. And I'm not talking these little things that everybody was wearing. No, I
Paper
mean,
diapers.
we had to be really careful. And so I'm like going, okay, if we were taking those kind of precautions for something that would just give you a bad case of the flu, and we know that the facilities that handle these types of viruses, and I'm not kidding, they're in full containment suits where they have oxygen pumped into their suit. So you are not exchanging any oxygen where these viruses are exposed because they're that deadly.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're doing all that and you don't leave a facility, because as you're going out, you have to be sprayed down you have to go through different chambers. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just like you walk in, you punch your card, you get something, and oops, it was on my clothes and I walked out. No, it's not how it works. And so with the types of stringent stuff that you have to do, my thought is that this was planned, and it was planned on a multi-layer thing, and it was several people involved, not just one, not an oops. And my thought is that, and I could be completely wrong, this could just be like the conspiracy thing, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's like, So there are multiple people involved and they were sent to different areas. But it's just that for some reason, China got the worst of it at the beginning. And so that way because it started to spread a little bit too quickly. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh yeah.
wait a minute, that's happening a little too fast. So in my brain, I'm like, okay, there were people planting this somewhere. And
Mhm.
like I said, in my when I was following back cases, the
Mhm.
earliest one that I could find here in the US was actually like I said, around August. And they didn't start reporting cases until the next year. And I'm like, going, wait a minute, we have this case here that they didn't know what it was, and this person was super sick. And so I'm like, no, there had to have been too many people involved. So in my brain, it was definitely planned. It was executed by more than one person on purpose. It didn't escape. Those types of things don't
it,
escape.
it doesn't happen. It
No,
doesn't happen. Do you think the timing? Do you think it was time for that time?
it makes sense. I
Yeah.
never thought about it until I started reading your books. And I'm like, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because the way that they used it and the way and what happened with it, it was used. China and Trump, our two countries were getting really close, and they were going to make some really good deals. They were really about to do something really great.
Right.
The U.S. country, was doing awesome. Our economy was thriving, and it was coming up on Trump's re-election, and then everything that happened because of it, whether they took advantage of it or whether it was planned, it just to me it does make sense that this not just for our country. I think that they had plans for a lot of different countries, and I do believe it makes sense that it goes back to the fact that there are some very powerful sick people who do want to kill us.
Mm-hmm.
They do. You can see it. You can see it with big pharma. You can see it with the GMOs, even the vaccines. I mean, now it's getting to the point, and so this would have been perfect. People aren't taking their vaccines. Let's scare the crap out of them, and they put and all the stuff that has been in these vaccines that Kennedy was talking about for a long time, with the mercury and all the stuff that should not be in. Why are they in the vaccine? Even if you think the vaccines are good, why would you want this stuff in there? And it just seemed like the perfect storm. And for it to just be coincidence is very hard for me to buy. It's hard for me to swallow that pill.
Yeah. And I was probably the most pro vaccine person you would ever find anywhere. I mean, I got everything. I made sure my kids had everything. And then I demanded that they give them others, right? It's like, no, give them the smallpox too, because, and they're like, smallpox is, we don't even have, no, 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 give it to them. I mean, I was so pro vaccine until my daughter was pregnant with her boy, her oldest son. And when she was showing me the list of vaccines that they were given when he was born,
Mm.
and I'm looking at it, goes, okay, yeah, K, all of a sudden, yeah, whatever, that's normal. And then when I saw the Hep B, and I told her, I said, excuse me, and she's like, she didn't know. And
Yeah.
I go, you don't let him give him that shot. And she's like, why? I go, do you know what Hep B is? And she's like, no, because most people know Hep C,
Yeah.
liver. They're generally liver diseases. And I'm like, you get Hep B from intimate activities. Do you plan on pimping out your child? And she was like horrified. I go, there's no reason an infant should be getting Hep B because it's a 3-series shot. And that was the thing. I was still working in the ER. Oh, no, not when she was pregnant with him, but before, when I was working at the ER, they're constantly changing rules. So then all of a sudden, instead of just getting your typical vaccines, they added Hep B to that, which made sense because we're exposed to all kinds of stuff in the ER.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going in to get my vaccinations, and then they're like, here, sign this waiver. And I'm like, well, what's this for?
Mm-hmm.
And they go, well, the Hep B is known for having some side effects. And so if you have side effects, you can't come back and sue us. and I couldn't continue working if I didn't get the shot. So, and I'm like, okay, and I'm talking serious side effects, not something minimal. And I'm like, they want to give this to newborns?
Yeah.
And and how many people these days are allowing their babies to get these injections and they don't even know? And I'm like, again, unless you are doing something that should be sending your butt either to prison or to the gallows,
Yeah.
there's no reason that your child needs it. None. Zero. And so that's when I started to really question. And then so I told my daughter, I said, please do some research on this. Do not allow them to give this to your baby. And so then my daughter started coming back and she's like, do you know that this is in this and that this is, and I'm like, no, no, no. And then after that, and then my mom got the flu shot and it almost killed her. She had to be hospitalized because the shot literally almost killed her. And it was one of those, oops, it was a live virus they gave on accident instead of the dead virus. And so between all of that stuff, you can't pay me to get any kind of vaccine. No, I will take my chances with Mother Nature.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I remember with both of our children, that was the one shot, and they were trying to scare us into taking it. And then one nurse or somebody was like, it's really for like crackhead moms who, may pass on the hep B or something like that to their child. And even that to me didn't really make too much sense. But the vitamin K one, oh, if you don't get that, they're gonna have a tumor in their head and they're gonna die. It's just everything is just about scaring you.
Well, it
And
is, and well, they tell you that the vitamin K because their blood might not clot, and if you
yes, there
don't
it
do
is.
that, then they could bleed out. Well,
Yeah,
again, I didn't know at the very beginning before having medical training, but here's the kicker, you young parents out there and you young women who are pregnant right now. Guess what? Demand that they don't cut that umbilical cord for about 10 minutes.
yes,
Because you leave the cord connected and then their body, between the cord and the placenta and their body, they then helps their body to now learn how to clot their blood properly. But they clamp it off too quickly, so then it doesn't happen and it takes too much longer. Leave them connected for a little bit and tell that doctor, don't cut it right away. Wait. And then you don't even need the shot. Their body does it automatically.
yeah. Yeah, it was a crazy time, and they still had masks. We still had to wear masks, and I
Oh,
remember that. And I was like, man, this is crazy. It's like 2022 or something, and we're still
I
still
still see
wearing
people up here wearing masks, and they don't work with a virus. You've got all this open space. What do you think you're protecting? Oh my God. Oh my. See, that's a pet peeve of mine from the
yeah.
beginning.
Yeah,
That's
I
not going
think
to stop anything.
people on camera when they're on like a Zoom call or something, or when they're driving a car by themselves wearing a mask, it's just crazy. I remember I was so heartbroken when we moved out of California. We're in this new state here, and I was really happy about everything, and then we get here and it's like, wow, a lot of the stuff they were doing in California, they're actually a lot of it they're doing here too. And yeah, it wasn't as bad in certain areas, but I remember I was really heartbroken. We were driving and I saw the school bus and a long line of kids, small kids, maybe 7, 8, maybe. And they're all lined up to get on the school bus, all wearing masks in there. And they're all going to get on this bus next to each other, sitting right next to each other. It was just, there was something, I think that's when it really hit me. Like, this is really bad. This is getting to the point where, this isn't just about COVID. This has to be about something more, something
Yeah.
bigger, something deeper, psychological, whatever you want to call it. But it was at that point, I just felt like we had really lost something very, very special during that time.
Yeah. And, at the beginning, I thought Fauci was like right on cue, right? Because he was saying, no, don't wear a mask. It's not good. Because it doesn't. It does zero. Anybody out there? Stop. If you're wearing
Right.
them, it doesn't help you. Unless you have
Right.
bad breath and you don't want people to smell it. Well, then fine, put your mask
That
on.
was the worst part about wearing the mask. I could smell my bad breath. Oh God. This is what my wife's been dealing with.
I think a lot of people figured out they needed some dental work. But so at the beginning he was, don't do it. It's not going to help. So I'm like, okay, so the guy can't be that bad because he's right. They don't
Right.
help. And then toward the end, he's like, oh, you got to wear 2 masks or 3 masks. And then you see people, I kid you not, I would see people out here with 2 or 3 masks on. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember during SARS, way back when, I can't, it had to have been like the early 2000s or something like that. In China, everybody was wearing masks, almost to the point where I think it just became a part of their daily life. They're all just wearing masks. I am a wrestling fan, so I was watching some Japanese wrestling even before COVID and everything, and there's people in the audience and they're wearing masks. I was like, what are they doing? Why are they
Because of
doing
the
that?
pollution.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
their pollution was so bad that it would but those are bigger particles. So that would make sense. You could
Oh,
filter out some of that pollution. But a virus, no. And a virus that is in
microscopic.
that type of a containment where you're in nothing but you're completely covered and you have to be gassed, you're sprayed with stuff before you even leave. You think that little tiny mask is going to stop a virus? No.
Right. Yeah, and then they started giving COVID shots to like dogs and cats
Oh
and
my
things
God.
like that.
I forgot
What?
about that.
They get the flu shot. We took our cat in the other couple weeks ago, and they're like, "Are they vaccinated? Are they vaccinated? Do you want to get them vaccinated?" Like, stay away from my pets, you crazy people.
Well, in here, they've made it a law in
Oh,
in Colorado that if you don't have your pets vaccinated with rabies or whatever and stuff like that, that you can be fined or have
wow.
your pets taken away or whatever, which is why I don't even have pets anymore because you
Yeah,
can't even own a pet without them getting injected with all this garbage too.
gotcha.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Well, you could have fish. And next, they're gonna vaccinate the fish. Just pour a little vaccine into their tank, I
I
guess.
think
So
they put it in their food.
put it in their food. Yeah, here, give it
Okay,
to
it's a joke. It's a joke.
them. Don't give them any ideas.
All right.
Well, I am happy that you are, and thank you for editing the book. I know because I got the other book, it's kind of like on the back burner. You're working on your own books here too. I want to talk about those where people can get those too. But I do hope you'll find some time in between all of that when you have time. And there's no rush because, like I said, I'm still working on the other book, getting that one published. But then, yeah, I hope you will continue with the forward. You're very knowledgeable on this case, and I'm really looking forward to that. Hey, Ellie.
Yeah, didn't I send you? Hi, Ellie. Didn't I send you part of the forward? I thought I had written something.
Yeah, I think you
Did
sent.
I make
Yeah,
that?
I think you sent me some notes or something like that. Yeah. Oh,
Because I think I started writing it and I wasn't sure how much and how far you wanted me to go. So I'll have to go find that because that was on the
yeah.
computer that crashed when the Microsoft update happened. It
Oh,
just
okay.
took out my system, so I don't even know if I have it anymore.
Okay. Yeah. If you sent it to me, if you know what day or when you sent it to me, I can probably find it too. So, or what year? I guess.
I know,
Probably a
we're
couple of
both
months ago.
messed up here. I
Yeah.
have no clue.
Sometimes that happens, and then but yeah, I think I do remember reading something that you had sent me. I was like, oh, this is really good. There's a lot of stuff here, and you're like, does it matter how long it can be?
Yeah.
So I was like, no, do it, man. Make it a whole book if you want to, whatever you want to do. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
Well, yeah, because it's like at the time, like I said, I had still have friends in the medical field, and like what I found interesting was there was a young girl who went to school with my son, and then she had a friend that had just not recently, but he was now a medical doctor, and he was called to go to New York. So I started following him because he was like, this is going to be real serious. It's like when things were really bad.
Mhm.
And then so I started following and listening to him. And then I would send questions to her and she would send it, then he would answer back through her. And he came back so dismayed. He's like, it's not what people are thinking.
Mm.
Ego, and just this is all into the other stuff where we were actually creating a bigger problem by doing things the way we did. And so that's when I started to get a whole different picture of how they were treating it. And the treatment was worse than the cure.
Wow, it's crazy. Well, my friend, I think that covers just about everything I wanted to cover here today. Any final words or final thoughts on COVID? I'm going to look up your book while you're doing that.
Just I just what we've been saying all along is it's a real thing. It wasn't a joke. It's not fake, but it's the treatment is easy 9 times out of 10. Get your health up, get your vitamin D up, spend time outside, be active, eat good, and then, your body has a better chance to fight it off if you ever do get it. But yeah, it's not what we were told on any level.
Yeah, healthy lifestyle. You try to be healthy as much as you possibly can. Ivermectin, Finbin. I call it Finbin. Can't pronounce the whole thing. Finbenadryl, whatever the heck. It's Finbin. That's all I know what it is. But it's supposed to be like ivermectin. But yeah.
Ivermectin, vitamin D. And vitamin D especially is what's really important because vitamin D helps your body in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Stay healthy. That's
healthy.
right.
That's it, Ellie. Good to hear from you, my friend. Exfoliate too.
Yes. Getting rid of all those dead skins off your body, Yeah.
Take showers.
Yes, exactly. Make sure you take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself.
Plenty of fluids. Stay away from all the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm. I remember one of the things they were like, one of the first things are like, wash your hands. Like, people aren't washing their hands already.
They don't. Oh, it would be so. I even to this day, but even before that, there's no way I would go into a public restroom and touch anything. First thing I would do is I'd find something to open the door, and then I'd go and I'd take paper towels, and I touched nothing. And then I would clean the toilet before you even go pee, right? It's like, I'm not touching nothing because it was so disgusting. I would watch people go in, they would use the bathroom and then walk straight out. And I'm like, ew, okay, ew.
And you just touch the door that they
And I'd be like, oh my God, no.
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, some of the things they were telling us in the beginning, it's like, wow, okay. I guess we need to be told these things.
Yeah, people they just don't do basic hygiene. They really do not. A lot of people didn't. They're better. I think they're better now. So if COVID did anything, it helped people to become more hygienic. Oh, but yeah, the hand sanitizer, stop that crap, stop the masks, and just be healthy. Wash your hands with soap and water.
I like this one here.
Red wine. Yes.
Yeah. I'm in. I'm all in on that. Maybe that's why I didn't get sick during that time. I was drinking a lot of red wine back then.
See? And I was on such high doses of vitamin D, due to health reasons. It's like so I think that's what saved me. I never got it either, ever. So
yeah, I had also stopped smoking weed around that time. I switched to vaping to THC. Hey, Rick, how are you, my friend?
Yeah.
So it was very interesting time.
I'm glad you stopped that.
Yeah, I did. It was yeah, I don't know. I think, and then like a couple years later, I was at a family friend thing and I tried it and it made me so paranoid. I was like, I'm never doing this again, ever. Never smoking weed again. I haven't smoked it since, so I don't miss it at all, really. So
yeah, and see with my job, I can't do stuff. I mean, it's like I don't begrudge people, if they want to do that, fine. But I mean, you've got young kids too, so it's a little bit different than if you're older and you're on your own. If that's what you want to do, have at it. Be happy. Not going to care, But I can't do that kind of stuff because I don't want to jeopardize my position with the company. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I switched to vaping just because of the smell, the smell and everything. But the state where I'm at, it's not legal. It's not legal here, and so all I do now is I've actually moved to hemp oil is what I've been doing now. So, and no THC. It's like, man, I really wish I had a little THC in here. I'd be all right with that. But once I moved to those drops, just because my brain is like about a year ago, 2 years ago, I was like, man, I feel so cloudy. And I just can't get rid of this. And it was hard to write, to focus on the writing process. And so I've been looking into different hemp oil, CBD, CBG. I do like those. I think that they do work. They're a little more pricey though. This one was not that, but they take the whole plant. They put the whole plant inside of here. Whereas some of the other ones that I've taken, it's like hemp seed oil, and you don't want the seed, you want the whole thing. So, but that's really helped me. So whenever I feel kind of cloudy, I take some of that, and it's legal. It's all legal.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't have the drug thing in it. It's like,
right,
okay,
the
whatever.
THC. Ellie says, I've had it. There was a study early on that cigarette smokers weren't getting it. Interesting. I didn't know that. Rick says, sorry I couldn't join you today. Our brother is here visiting. No problem.
Well, you're here now. That was good. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you both for being in the chat. Ellie says, government put their hands on the weed. They are poisoning everything. Yeah, I've heard that too. And once it became legal in California, it definitely, the quality was not as good as what you used to be able to get from the street. This was not the same.
Yeah.
Please don't vape. That good. Yeah, no, I'm done with all that. Yeah, but the vaping it helped me transition away from it, and then finally just moved to just drops. So now it's just all hemp seed, not hemp seed oil, just hemp oil is what I've been doing lately. And it's been helping. It's been like helping me to stay sharp, because after working and with the children, and you both know this, it's just, you get to the point where it's like, man, my brain is fried. It's fried, and we still got to go make dinner. We still got to put the kids to sleep and maybe do a little something else here too. And so it's been challenging, but I'm actually waking up earlier now too, which I never thought that I would do. I wake up 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and I'm like, man, I didn't think I'd ever be here, because I was like a late bloomer. I thought it'd be 9, 10, and even that was kind of early. I'm not a morning person, but now I wake up just because, the kids wake up, we got to get them to school and everything. So we just kind of do it. So that has been helping me. Nicotine apparently blocks COVID. I've heard this. I've heard it blocks cancers or something like that too. And so, but you got to be careful. Everything in moderation too, because I know some people, they started like smokers are like, yeah, let's smoke it up.
Well, I have a sister, and she's been smoking since she was 12, and she never got COVID, and she was around it, right? No, she got COVID, but it was after she was in a facility and she didn't have access to her cigarettes. So now that you mention that, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I have heard that. I heard that recently. I've heard a couple different studies or a couple different things about that.
And that, that made me really mad, because when they put her into the hospital, because I'm her power of attorney, right? And so I told them, the doctor's hospital's calling, talking to the ER staff, and I'm like, no remdesivir, don't give her this, do not ventilate her. This is what I want you guys to do. And then the next thing I know, I get a call, and they're like, well, we just want to let you know she's on her second dose of remdesivir. I said, you guys had better take that off right now. I mean, they did it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you don't stop that, we're going to have an issue legally. Good. Stop that. And I'm, oh my gosh.
Gummies shouldn't be legal. Pennsylvania has dispensaries on every corner or something. Right. Yeah. All the chemicals, because I was looking at the CBD gummies. I tried those, and then I look at the ingredients, like, man, there's a lot of bad stuff in it, because I've been off candy, I've been off sugar, I've been off soda, all that for over 10 years plus. And then here I am taking gummies. I tried the gummies. I didn't really feel anything. It didn't really do anything for me anyway. And then I looked at it, and all the ingredients, it's like, yeah, there's CBD or CBG in there, but if you really want to get the best from CBD or CBG or even hemp, just you have to do it like this because it goes right into your system, I think.
Do you
Uh,
just like drop it under your
yeah,
tongue? I
yeah,
don't, okay.
yeah. You drop it under your tongue, hold it there
Mhm.
for about 60 seconds, and that's
So
it.
that's directly into the bloodstream.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I found that because I never thought I'd be doing that. This one actually tastes kind of I feel like I'm tasting the whole tree. So I was like, yeah, okay. I believe you guys put the whole tree in here. I'm sure everything is in here. It's not it, it's not very good tasting, but it does work. Um yep. No ventilation. Um and let's yep.
Oh, thank you, Ellie.
I want to look at your book here because I do have this up. So Catherine is working on a series, I believe a trilogy, a 3-part series. Is that right, Catherine?
Yes.
And this is book 1, and I do have the physical book here, and you can get it right now for $15.99 on Amazon, which is awesome. If you're a Kindle member, it looks like you can read it for free, or you can buy it on Kindle for $3.99. It's 457 pages, and it is called Root of All Evil. This is book 1. Catherine, to finish this off, why don't you tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about this book here.
Okay, first thing I want to say is if for any Kindle readers out there,
Mhm.
please start from the very beginning, because with Kindle, they pay us per page that's turned, and it's even like the title page, the copyright page, everything. So start from the beginning in every page. So that's what helps us get paid. But yeah, it's a, like Greg was telling, it's a trilogy. So this whole story evolves over 3 books. But book 1 is the beginning of how okay, Ian and Levy are like a power couple. He's a CFO, and then she's a nurse. And so she gets tired of watching children die in the emergency room. She's one day they're working on a child, and she just has had enough. So she goes to her husband and she wants to leave. But she also has been haunted and followed by apparitions with glowing red eyes. So between being followed and haunted by these entities and then the deaths of people in the she just kind of had it. She's like, I'm done. And then so she just finally tells her husband, we need to move. So they find this place called River's Edge, and everything falls right into place. They go there, and all of a sudden, there are 2 job openings, right? There's a house that's available, everything, and they get it all within one day. That should have been hint number 1, because we all know that's not life, right? Things don't happen like that. And so they were just so excited that everything was working out, that they didn't stop to think that maybe that was a bad omen. And then the story continues from there. And it's the struggles between a battle between like good and evil, I guess, is kind of what it is. And they don't really believe in God. They don't really have a feeling about a God, but they don't really believe in a God. But when they're faced with evil, an actual demon, they have to return to an entity they never believed in.
Interesting. I like it. And there is a spoiler here. Nobody gets COVID in the book. Is that
Oh,
correct?
yeah, I should have wrote about that, right?
Yeah. As far as we know, maybe they got it and they never got tested too. That's possible too. But I will put that link here for anyone. It looks like Ellie's already in the process of buying that book. So definitely appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
You will like it. You will like it. I got my physical copy here too. And any idea of when you think the second book will be out for publication?
I am in the process of doing the first initial big revision, and I'm like, there are like 43 chapters in the second book, and I'm on like chapter 8 or 9 in revisions. But the reason why it's taken so long, because when I first wrote this series, I wrote it as a third person omniscient view. And going through the process and getting professional editors, they're like, you really need to put this in first POV. So I have to go back and rewrite all of the POVs throughout every single page has to be changed. And so that's taking a while.
Mm-hmm.
So where before it would be like, Leon saw her do this. Now I have to go, well, I watched as my wife did this, right? That type of thing. So it's like actually rewriting the whole thing. Um, but I'm making progress. I'm trying to get about a chapter a day done. And that doesn't
Oh,
sound like a lot, but it's actually a lot.
yeah, that sounds like a lot to me.
Because it's almost 100,000 words.
Whew.
So it takes a lot to redo it all. Yeah, I'm at almost 99,000 words right now. So
You ever catch yourself just saying, look, I just got to take a break. I got to get away from this for a little while.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually, when I was working so hard to get the first book published, I just completely forgot about book 2, and I sent it to the alpha reader, and they still have it. They're still reading through it, mainly because they're scheduled. And they told me ahead of time it's going to take me till this date to get back to you. But yeah, I mean, so when I went back a little while ago, maybe about beginning, I think, of September or whatever, when I started to finally get into the revision, yeah, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is going to take me forever. And I'm so mad at myself. So now when I write, I make sure to write everything in first person instead of because the first thing I do is I just automatically, it's all third person omniscient. And that just doesn't work,
Right.
especially in a horror novel. So, depending on the type of book you're writing, but I found out in the horror genre, you don't do that. So
Gotcha.
I should have
Well,
checked.
yeah, I do hope. Yeah, we're all looking forward to that. And when the second book comes out, we'll definitely do something on that. But this has been fun. I really want to thank you for all of your help with this book, this COVID-19, the early days of COVID-19, the invisible enemy, the China virus. I still have not settled on a title yet. So the China virus, I got a lot of negative feedback from that one. So I don't know if that one will make it, but we'll see. But it's something that'll happen down the road. And yeah, I just want to thank you for all of your help, for your friendship, and thank everybody in the chat. Ellie, Rick, really appreciate you both too, and hope everything is going good with both of you. Enjoy all of your day, and we will definitely be back sooner than you think, for sure. All right, God bless everybody. Until next time, remember, Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I, my friends. Believe in freedom. Stay free. God bless.